The traction control system in your daily driver was tested at 200 miles per hour before it ever touched a road car. That's not marketing copy. That's the gearhead truth about how Formula One actually works. Not as a racing series, but as the most expensive real-world engineering lab on the planet. And here's what nobody tells you. The tech that trickles down from F1 doesn't arrive with a press release. It shows up quietly, tucked inside systems you probably ignore, or worse, systems you're tempted to turn off. If you caught the short version of this, welcome to the full breakdown. We're going deep today. Here's why this matters to your wallet right now. We're in a moment where car prices are legitimately painful. GM just jacked up the lease price on the Chevy Equinox EV, one of the most aggressively priced long-range EVs in Canada, and even the Bolt, which got slightly cheaper, is still a significant monthly commitment. Every dollar you spend on a new vehicle is a dollar you want to make sure is backed by real engineering, not just badge engineering. So when a manufacturer says their new model has race-proven technology, you deserve to know whether that's true, or whether it's a sticker on a brochure. The good version of this story ends here. But it doesn't. Formula One teams spend between $140 million and $500 million per season depending on the team. That's the budget cap era. It used to be worse. For that money, they're solving problems that road cars haven't encountered yet. Extreme heat cycles, violent aerodynamic loads, energy recovery under braking, tire degradation models that change lap by lap. The pipeline from F1 to your car has never been a straight line. It's more like a game of telephone played over 10 years. An engineer works on a carbon fiber composite structure for a race chassis, leaves the team, goes to work at a Tier 1 automotive supplier, and suddenly that structural thinking shows up in your car's crash management system. It's not official. It's not announced. It just happens. But some of it is very official. And that's where it gets interesting. Let's talk about traction control because there's a story in the news right now that connects directly to this. The Drive just published a piece where a pro driver argues that leaving traction control on actually produces faster lap times for most drivers. Not slower, faster. The reasoning is exactly what F1 engineers discovered decades ago. The system can modulate torque faster than any human, and it keeps the car in the optimal slip angle window without the driver even knowing it's happening. F1 banned traction control in 2008. Road cars inherited the refined version of that technology, systems that learned from years of race data about exactly how much wheel spin is productive and how much is waste. When you drive a modern car with stability control, you're using a direct descendant of systems that were illegal in F1 because they were too effective. That's not a coincidence. That's technology transfer. Here's another one, regenerative braking. Right now, Toyota just opened orders for the Hilux BEV, their first fully electric body-on-frame pickup, starting under 60,000 Canadian dollars. That truck uses regenerative braking as a primary energy recovery strategy. The hybrid and EV industry calls this new. F1's kinetic energy recovery systems, KERS, were introduced in 2009. The engineering principles are the same. Capture kinetic energy under deceleration. Store it, deploy it for acceleration. F1 just did it first under the most brutal operating conditions imaginable. The engineers knew. They just did not tell anyone it was coming to your pickup truck. Now here's where the seductive story turns punishing. When F1 technology transfers to road cars, it doesn't always transfer with the maintenance infrastructure that makes it reliable. This is the money pit nobody warns you about. BMW is a perfect example. The BMW M Concept Neue Klasse just dropped. A preview of what's essentially the electric M3. It looks incredible. The Drive called it the best-looking M car in years. And based on the renders, that's not wrong. But BMW's history with technology-forward powertrains is complicated. The current M3 is a mechanical masterpiece that has a documented habit of becoming an expensive problem after 60,000 kilometers if maintenance intervals are stretched. Why? Because F1 derived engineering, tight tolerances, high rev designs, complex thermal management, requires precise, consistent maintenance. Road car buyers often don't know that. They buy the performance promise and skip the oil analysis, ignore the coolant flush interval, and wonder why their engine is making noises at 80,000 kilometers. Nobody saw what was coming next. Well, actually, some mechanics did. They see it every week. This is exactly why I'd recommend keeping an OBD2 scanner in your car if you're driving anything with modern engine management. The Launch CRP123X is what I use personally. It reads ABS, transmission, and airbag codes, not just powertrain. For something more budget-friendly, the Incel AD310 covers the basics for under 40 Canadian dollars. When your car is running F1, adjacent software in its ECU, an early warning light isn't an inconvenience. It's data. Treat it that way. Links are in the description. So what do you actually do with this information? First, the next time you're shopping for a car and a salesperson says, race-proven technology, ask them which specific system. Traction control? Legitimate answer. Aerodynamic downforce? Ask more questions. Carbon ceramic brakes? Find out what the replacement cost is because F1 grade materials on a road car come with F1 adjacent parts pricing. Second, don't disable systems you don't understand. If your car has active stability control, torque vectoring, or any kind of dynamic chassis management, that system is the product of millions of dollars of testing. The drives piece on traction control makes this clear. Most drivers are slower without it. If you're not Neue, leave it on. Third, understand that the maintenance cost is the real price of a car. A technology-rich vehicle with skipped services doesn't depreciate gracefully. Collapses. Budget for the maintenance the engineering demands, not the maintenance the minimum service light asks for. If you want a no BS breakdown of which F1 derived systems are in your specific car and what to watch for, I put together a quick reference guide free, link in the description. Just sign up for the ThrottleCode newsletter. And speaking of things that look incredible until they don't, in the next video we're doing a full reliability autopsy on a European performance engine that has a failure pattern mechanics recognized in under 30 seconds. The root cause will genuinely surprise you. Subscribe so you catch that one when it drops. This has been ThrottleCode. Follow ThrottleCode for more car content.